Today, the focus is on the Defense of Marriage Act, known as DOMA, of course. Fox 26's Andrea Watkins live this morning in the newsroom, going in depth with much more. Andrea.
That's right. Chris and Melissa, the Defense of Marriage Act says that marriage is only between a man and a woman, and that excludes gay married couples from federal benefits offered to straight married couples. But if the Defense of Marriage Act is found unconstitutional, does that grant gay couples constitutional protection from all discrimination? And that's why the decision here has really broad implications. Joining me now to talk about what is at stake with this Supreme Court decision, family law attorney Cynthia Diggs has been with us this morning, and Reverend Lisa Hunt with the St. Stephen's Episcopal Church joins us for this hour. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Reverend Hunt, we wanted your perspective on this because St. Stephen's was the first church in Houston to actually marry a gay couple. That was your choice, the choice of St. Stephen's. Some people worry that what this is all leading to is forcing churches, all churches, to marry gay couples.
First of all, let me say we did not marry a gay couple in the state of Texas, which actually speaks to the heart of this issue. It's not legal to marry people of the same sex.
Okay.
So the Episcopal Church has allowed for a blessing and witnessing of a blessing of a lifelong union in states where that legal right is not allowed. So the couple that we blessed on Sunday, March 17th, had been together for 15 years. They came seeking the church's blessing and God's, and I hope they got it on that day, but they did not get civil rights protection in the state of Texas or in the United States.
Okay, so marry does have a legal definition that you guys are staying. All right. Cynthia, if the Affordable Health Care Law if DOMA is found to be unconstitutional, this is having potentially broad implications. And one thing that we've been discussing is whether or not the Affordable Health Care Law already sort of infringes on religious beliefs because of this issue over contraception.
Well, yes, the Catholic Church has apparently in some states filed lawsuits saying we don't want to be required to provide health insurance that would include contraception, which is what our present health care laws provide. But that's a far cry from what we're dealing with now. You know, the health care legislation is very broad and complicated. The issue that's going to be before the court today in the Windsor case is very simply is DOMA, is the provision of DOMA that defines marriage as between a man and a woman, is that unconstitutional under the Equal Protection Clause of the United States. It's a very narrow issue.
But if that's found to be unconstitutional, my goodness, that could be a precedent-setting lawsuit, or that could be a precedent-setting decision that would basically fuel other lawsuits. No?
Well, I think that much is true. I think that if that is the decision that's made, it will certainly be a huge precedent. But I think that the court is likely to make it a very narrow ruling applicable just to this statute. Now, whether it later applies to something else, that's a different matter.
Reverend Hunt, you were pretty interested in how the justices approached the Proposition 8 discussion yesterday, and you especially keyed in on the discussion of what marriage is really. And in fact, Antonin Scalia said, when did gay marriage become unconstitutional? He's looking in the Constitution. So what were your thoughts on their discussion?
I think the most striking thing was the focus on procreation as the principal good of marriage. And Christian theologians since the mid-20th century, including in Vatican II, have not narrowly defined the goods of marriage that way. In my own tradition, we'll talk about the goods of marriage being for mutual joy and for comfort in times of affliction, and sharing companionship in times of blessing. So in terms of the discussion yesterday, those would be seen as adult benefits of marriage, and the court seemed to be, or at least one of the justices seemed to be questioning whether that should be a good of marriage. And from a religious perspective, we would see procreation as a good, but it's not the only good of marriage. And so I think that by focusing so narrowly, they opened up Justice Kagan's comment about the 55-year-olds
yeah,
getting married, right?
That was a good one.
Yeah, I thought so too. Because I think that marriage does have a lot of goods for people. That's why we have been doing it for thousands of years. And it's not just about children. It's about the quality of life, the quality of love, the care that we give each other over the course of our life. And I think that for those of us who are proponents of same-sex marriage, we see that good is not limited to a man and a woman, but that's a good that God intends for human beings.
All right. Reverend Hunt, we appreciate you being here. Cynthia Diggs, thanks for being with us this morning. A lot of good insight. Well, we're going to have to wait until June until we know which way the court's going to go. And I'm sure it's just going to be one of the big chapters in a long book of things that are going to change if indeed they rule against DOMA here. Let's go back to you.